Baby Reindeer, the show that took us on a roller coaster ride since episode 1. And just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, think again. The already chaotic storyline just got way more chaotic. How so? Well, the real-life Martha, yes, the obsessive stalker Martha, just showed up, and that too with an interview with none other than Piers Morgan. What's going on? Let's catch up. Here are 5 of the most shocking moments from Piers Morgan with Baby Reindeer's Real Martha. 5. Fact or fiction? So remember how the show started with this is a real story message? Well, controversy is stirring and things are starting to get messy. Why? Well, in her very first official online debut interview with Piers Morgan, the real Martha, Fiona Harvey, dropped a bombshell. She denied the whole plot of the show, saying all was make-believe by Richard Gadd, calling him a psychopath who was in need of help. Now, we're getting the other side of the story, which happens to be the complete opposite of what we know. Let's be honest, after watching the show, we all had no doubt Martha was, well, obsessed and in love with Richard. However, that doesn't seem to be the case, according to Fiona Harvey. From not being in love with Richard Gadd to him being the real psychopath. Messy and confusing? A little too much. In the 50-minute-long interview, Fiona called Richard mentally unwell and a psychopath, even going so far as to say she wished she had never entered the bar he worked at. So, who really was the psychopath? And this isn't all. The biggest twist of the show was when Martha admitted to being guilty and got sentenced. But that doesn't seem to be the case for Fiona. Fiona vehemently denied any sentence or record in her past, fueling the tensions of whether Baby Reindeer was a work of fiction. Was it the truth but slightly exaggerated? But then what about all the emails and the texts? As viewers of the show, it's hard to believe Fiona, aka Martha, isn't just putting up another facade. There's obviously much more to the story. Emails from a stalker or a friend? 41,000 emails, 350 voice messages, 744 tweets, 48 Facebook messages, 106 letters? Talk about obsessive. That's what was all sent to Richard Gadd by Fiona Harvey, according to him. Even Netflix came forward and said that every email seen in the show is exactly the same as they were sent, right down to the typos. But Fiona walked right in and denied this, saying she only sent a handful or a couple of emails. But if you ask us, there's quite a drastic contrast between 41,000 and a couple. Now you must be thinking, who even has the time? Well, that's exactly what Fiona said too, but viewers are finding gaps in her stories. When asked what she thought of 41,000 emails, were they obsessive? Fiona's reply was not what we were expecting. She was of the thought that it was okay if a wife who cares sends it or a doting friend. But didn't she say who had the time before? See the gaps everyone's talking about? Oh, and it just keeps getting messier and messier. Later, Fiona admitted to having 6 different emails, and guess how many phones she had? 4! So, with 6 emails and 4 phones, maybe 41,000 isn't that hard to believe. Oh, and the voice messages? She completely denied those too. She hasn't seen the show, by the way, but says it is completely fictional. Even so that the supposed voice messages Richard and Netflix have are illegal recordings of her by Richard in the pub that they met at. What else? Banter. Just jokey banter is what the emails and texts she sent to Richard were. Fiona said that they were nothing more, only jokes. So is she knowingly downplaying it? Hiding her past obsession? Or was it simply banter between the two? We'll leave that for you to decide. 3. Threats to her livelihood. With a show this fascinating, it's no secret that the audience gets hitched to it, with some getting more invested than others. Within hours of the release of the show, the real Martha's identity was found and no longer a secret. And what happened when the real Martha was known? Threats were made. Piers and Fiona discussed how she was unaware of the Netflix production till 2 weeks ago, after which the Daily Mail found her and contacted her. But the internet was a tad bit more ruthless. According to her, she received numerous messages of danger to her livelihood, some getting so involved that she got calls from some of the devoted fans. The level of seriousness this reached took viewers by surprise, hoping no one would act on the threat sent, no matter what was depicted of her in the show. 2. Harvey vs. Gad. The feud continues. Okay, so referring to the show, Gad said it was as if both of them were lost souls stumbling across each other, not considering her the villain of the story. But Fiona doesn't see him in such a forgiving or peaceful light. She made many remarks about Gad, ranging from him being unwell to a psychopath to the ultimate misogynist. For her, the show is engineered by Richard in order to make him plenty of money, especially after the play, which also revolved around an obsessive stalker, didn't take off well. So according to her, he's milking the production for money. Now that's not all she said. She went so far as to say that he's got psychiatric problems, but this isn't the part that had everyone's jaw on the floor. She went on to talk about whether the attack by the director, which was one of the most traumatic events in the show, was real or only conceived in his head. Even though she admitted to sending him a letter in which she offered comfort to him after it happened. It's ironic, isn't it? To call it an alleged attack now, but to believe it then? This left so many viewers angry and agreeing that Martha's representation of Fiona was spot on in the show. Oh wait, did you think that was all? Oh no, it gets more chaotic. Piers, being the sparker of emotions and controversy, dared and asked Fiona one question that was on the tip of everyone's tongue. Did you love him? You guessed right, she said no, but the shocking part is yet to come. The most shocking part was when she revealed that Richard was the first to make a pass at her, which she brushed off because according to her, she doesn't fancy little boys with no jobs. Oh yeah, you heard that right. Why? Because she had a boyfriend at the time, but when pressed for details, she didn't give any. So, is there any truth to that? Oh, and she didn't just leave it there. Nope. When asked about whether she attacked Gad's girlfriend or not, she went on to suggest that he might be homosexual, never having had a girlfriend. Is this her way of deflecting and hiding her old obsession, or is it her unfolding the real story? 1. Court date soon? Honestly, it's like watching season 2 of the show unfold right before our eyes. Now, the show obviously enraged some part in Fiona. She did come on television to clear her side and also took to Facebook again to vent out her frustration. So the question is, will she sue the production? Will Richard Gad and Netflix be called to the stand before the law, sued for defamation? Frankly speaking, if she goes to court, our thirst for the real story gets quenched. If her side of the story is the real one, then there won't be evidence that would say otherwise. We'll finally know if the evidence Richard Gad and Netflix have is real or made up, as said by Fiona. Wanting the inside scoop just like us, Piers too pressed quite hard on this, telling her if she took it to court, she could clear her name. But what shocked viewers was when toward the end of the interview, she actually confirmed her plans of suing Gad, Netflix, and the Daily Mail for defamation. She even has legal aid to sort this issue out. And when you think that there's nothing else left, there comes another. She's got a boyfriend, a lawyer boyfriend of 5 years. So will he be assisting in this case, or is she keeping him away from the muddy drama? And now comes the main question that's got everyone on the edge of their seats. Will we get to see the two reunite in court? As exciting as it sounds, the only confirmation is of Fiona's, so let's wait and see. Let us know in the comments which side of the story you believe, and make sure to subscribe for more.